Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. So there are certain guidelines there you need to follow before you construct your research questionnaire. I have divided this into the four phases: phase one, phase two, phase three, and phase four. We'll see one by one. First thing, in some hissing noise is coming. I think you can ask them to mute the mic. Thank you. So first of all, you have to be really clear enough whether you require a questionnaire or not. Because it is not necessary for every research needs a questionnaire, because certain things it may go without questionnaire also. So that time you may need to do that thing. Why? Because as I keep on telling you, everything is based on your objectives. What are your objectives? Accordingly, you need to frame the questionnaire. You framed a questionnaire, but it gives a result, but that may not be relevant to the objectives, then obviously that will become wrong. That's the first one. And you need to have a 360-degree understanding about a research problem which you have taken. See, if you set up a questionnaire, it covers 80%, 90, what you call one dimension or a two dimension. Whereas you need to approach the study in the three-dimensional way. But your question addresses only one dimension or a two dimension, then it will be a problem. That's why before you prepare a questionnaire, you should think clearly, 360-degree. What are the things you need to collect as a data through the questionnaire? See, you can collect more information. Certain information, if you do not want, you can leave it at the later stage. Instead of that, if you collect less information, but you want to add more information in the future, it is difficult because you have to go back again, sending what you call for the data collection. That is very time consuming. It is not possible. That's why even you want to restrict yourself within, assume that 50 questions, but your current questionnaire has 75 questions, not a problem. Just go ahead. Just finish it up. In case later stage, you understand that you don't require all these 75 questions, you want to reduce into the 50, you can do that. So be very clear that you can have more questions. If you do not want, you can cut it off, but you cannot have, when you have a less questions and you cannot add it at the last minute, it will be a time consuming process. Almost it is a redoing the work. And another thing, you need to understand the appropriate form of questions. As I already told you that there are different ways. If it is a qualitative research, you use open-ended question. If it is a quantitative research, you will use closed question. See, when you ask a question, what do you feel about the online classroom teaching? Assume that it's a research work on about online class. So here you are giving the freedom to the respondent, whatever they feel they can write. Whereas in another form of question, what do you feel about online classroom? You give 5 options. Very good, good, bad, very poor, very bad, or whatever the thing you give. So here the respondent will have the option to choose from the given thing. Whereas in the open-ended question, they can write anything they want. Generally, we do not use open-ended question, as I already told you in the last lecture. Can someone tell me what type of question we cannot use in the quantitative research? Someone answer me. Or otherwise, open-ended question, which type of research you can use?
Open-ended questions, I think, must be used in qualitative research, sir.
Okay, thank you. I want someone who has never interacted in the session. Please unmute and tell me why open-ended question will be used only in qualitative research. Ma'am has answered that it is in qualitative. You tell me why it is in qualitative.
Sir, because in qualitative research, the respondent can explore their views or they can freely convey the message or opinion about something
Very good.
which you want to ask.
Very good. Yeah, that's absolute answer. So in the qualitative research, we do not just stop with the number. Instead, we'll go to the deep down. We'll go to the experiences of the respondent. We want to give an in-depth analysis about the responses. So that's why we ask them to write freely whatever they feel. So we go with the open-ended question. That's a beautiful thing. Very good. The next one, this is already I told you. You have to decide which is closed or open-ended question based on the nature of research and the approach which you are following, whether it is quantitative or qualitative. This is the basic before you start preparing the question. This is the initial phase. You can call it as a initial preliminary phase. Next comes second important. Now you are started constructing the questions. Now, first thing, questions should be simple. Why? In case if you bring all your knowledge, framing the question with a very sophisticated, complicated vocabulary, and the respondent, he or she doesn't understand what is the question, then the whole purpose will not be served. The basic purpose will fail. So always make it a point. Question, when you prepare a question, the words are to be very simple and it should reach even any sort of people, any sort of respondent. And another thing, you understand what type of analysis you are going to do. Based on that analysis, you need to construct the question and as well as the response style. If you go with quantitative analysis, you don't require in-depth analysis. So that time you need to go with the Likert scale. Likert scale. Or else you need to go with a certain stipulated scales. Let me tell you. You want to know about the demographic details of a participant, a respondent of your research. You allow him to write anything. He says that MA English. About his, you want to know about his parents' education. They write as 10th grade, 12th grade, or 10th standard, or 12th standard, or BA, MA. They'll write in their own style. Even though you can collect all the information, but when you tabulate all those information, you will have a hard time. Someone could have written like STD/10, that is standard 10. Someone could have written 10th, numeral 10, then TH, then they could have written STD, that is 10th standard. Or someone could have written high school or higher secondary or some other thing they could have written. How will you sort all this information into the one arena? Probably you have to sort out all the high school, higher secondary, junior college, senior college, everything. So if you go with such kind of answers, if you go with the open-ended question, it will be a disastrous. You will not be able to gather the data properly. Instead, you give the option, you decide. Somebody who's illiterate, give the option illiterate 1. Then somebody, no, he studied only junior, primary education. Give 1 to 5th standard or 1 to 5th grade. Then 6th to 10th grade. Then 11th to 12th grade. And then you go with the UG, undergrad, postgrad, research degree in that way. So you can give 1 for illiterate, 2 for primary education, 3 for high school, 4 for higher secondary, 5 for undergrad, 6 for postgrad, 7 for research degree, that is MPhil or PhD. Now, the respondent, when they will select only one thing. So finally, you'll be able to collate all the information. You'll be able to tell how many of them are illiterate, how many of them are within the primary level, higher secondary level, high school level, all those data will come easily. So you need to plan in that way. How are you going to conduct the analysis? Accordingly, you have to frame question and you can give the option, right? In otherwise, what will happen? You will be able to collect the data, as I already told you that instead of what you call framing them into 5 or 6 levels, and you ask them to write whatever they want. At the end of the day, they write everything. But how will you sort out all this information? How will you calculate? You have to retype everything. It is unnecessary waste of time. So that should be very careful. That's why you have to know about the tabulation. How are you going to tabulate the data? Accordingly, you give the question option. And sometime you want to have very precise information. You see, in the first one I have told you, I have added all the 1 to 5. That is one from first grade to fifth grade as a primary. I have given as a primary. But whereas you don't want to know as a primary, you want to know exactly which grade they studied. That time you have to give all the detail option. Instead of 7 category, you have to give all the 15 category, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in that way. Then later you'll have the exact data, but you don't allow them to type, because they will type in their own style, where finally bringing all those answers under the one category or one strata will be very difficult task. So always, in case you want to go with a lot of detail, accurate information, you add those information also in the questionnaire option itself. Don't allow them to type. That will create a lot of confusion. Third thing, before you circulate the question, you always, obviously, you will prepare a rough draft. That rough draft will go so many fair draft, and finally you will come to a conclusion. What you can do is, the rough draft questionnaire can be taken and given to somebody for a pilot testing. Pilot testing means, or otherwise, at least you should give to some of your friends, let them check whether the questions are fine, is it okay, will it elicit the required information. And if possible, you need to get a expert opinion whether your objectives and questions are going hand in hand, because the questions require information which are not directly related to the objectives, then it is not correct. So you have to be confident and you have to be careful that it absolutely reflects. Questionnaire should reflect all the objectives. And another important thing, see, there are two ways. One thing is, you can prepare all the questions on your own. Other easy way, you can use any standardized questionnaire already available. You can use that directly. Standardized questionnaire means which is developed by somebody else already, or some researcher. They could have published that thing. So giving a due credit, due citation to them, you can use that questionnaire in your research. There you no need to develop anything. Simply you have to cite that particular author. You can use the same questionnaire. Generally, when you take those questionnaire, there are so many advantages. There won't be any question of validity, reliability, because those questions will be established after the reliability and validity only. So obviously, when you say that I have used this particular expert questionnaire, questions or a tool, then there won't be any question. But the only thing you have to be careful, whether that questionnaire is appropriate to your research, number one. Number two, do you need to modify anything? That also you are allowed to do. You can take one standardized questionnaire, then certain portions you feel that is not required for your thing, then you can you can stop it. Now let me give you one quick activity. Just tell me what are the basic error you commit when you prepare the questionnaire. Just I'll give you 2 minutes time.
यस साक्षी सर ने बोला है कि जब हम क्वेश्चनेयर बनाते हैं उस वक्त हम क्या क्या मिस्टेक्स करते हैं, है ना? What are the common mistakes that we make while designing our questionnaire?
So Shara, give the answer for that question.
Yes. What are the common problem you face when you use the questionnaire or when you prepare the questionnaire? Shivani, yes,
Yes,
Shivani,
yes, sir. So many times questions are overlapping and they are incomplete, and many times the researcher is not aware of the who are the responder, because I have noticed sometimes the questionnaire, if the question is made for the employers,
Hmm.
okay, they draft the question for the employees. So this is not clear in the mind of the researcher whether that who is the focus, whether the employer or the employee. Most of the time, the questions are framed from the point of view of the company, as if they are asking the company people. But basically, those questions are drafted for the employees, those who are working in the company. Those many times doesn't know the basic or the private information about the company. These are the common mistakes the researcher
Yeah,
generally.
focus of the questions are not appropriate. Very good, very good. Okay, good. Next, Dr. Sonika Mishra. Yeah. I think you have to unmute Dr. Sonika.
Sorry, sir. Some maximum time when the researcher draft the questionnaire, they can use the technical words, and may it is happen that the respondents are not aware with the technical words the researcher use in their questionnaire. So we should the common mistake the researcher do is they use the technical words, and many time maximum number of question and the sequence of questionnaire is not
Very good, very good.
is
This is
as
a
per
very
the
important
sequence.
point. Yes, sequence is another important thing. Which one you should elicit first and second, and because absolutely some crucial information they'll collect at the end. Probably people may lose interest in filling up the question, and so you have to logical flow. That's what I learned. Logically, if you construct the question, this problem can be avoided. Very good, good.
And
Yeah.
when we design a questionnaire, it should be a combination of open-ended and closed-ended question both. Whenever it is required, there should be an open-ended questions too in our questionnaire, irrespective of our research. It is qualitative or quantitative.
Yeah, here only you have to be very careful. If when you use the open-ended questionnaire for the extra information, that is fine. But if you
Fine.
put the basic information in the open-ended question, you'll be in trouble. Because, for instance, you want to know the experience of the employee. Further, if you put as an open-ended question, then they'll write in their own way. Then you'll have a problem. But certain thing, their personal experience or personal feedback about the company performance, that time if you give open-ended, that's fine. Because where you'll be able to collect the information, then you can narrate or probably you can give a deep analysis. But basic information always go with the closed-end question. Good.
Questions.
Yeah. Any other response from anybody else?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Sir.
go ahead.
Sir, I think there should not be unnecessary question which is not related to our research.
That's very important. Yeah, there are people they'll ask questions which may not be related to their research. Very good. That's absolutely correct. Yes. See, that's what you have to be always be very cautious. Their time is precious. You cannot waste their time. If you waste their time, the reliability of the data will be missing. The reason is, if you give me 100 questions to fill it up, even though you are asking me, I'm filling it up, but I don't give my full effort to fill all the 100 questions. When there are less questions, that's only say for 10 or 20, I may fill it up with full interest. I will try to give full data properly. But avoid giving more questions in the thing also, unless it is a closed group. For instance, you conduct it for within your classroom, and you instruct the student very well, you monitor that, definitely they will fill all the question. That time it can be some lengthy. But whenever you go and approach some new respondent, you have never known them, only out of their interest they are participating in your research. But that time you give a questionnaire consists of 50 question or 60 question. People may not really spend time to fill up the questionnaire unless it is needed. So there is a possibility to use only the less questions, means I would advise use the less question. If there is a necessity you need to use many question, please prepare the respondent very well before they start filling the questions. Otherwise, you will get the data, but that data cannot be reliable. Outcome of the research also you cannot rely, because see, I am a respondent, but I am not telling the truth in the question, answering the question, filling up with the question. Then similarly, everybody we fill with only half-heartedly, we don't give full importance to that. Then whatever the data you finally collect, everything is a half-baked data that cannot produce a good result. That's the reason before you can collect the data, you must prepare the respondent efficiently. That's why even selection of the sample, that's the reason you cannot select everybody's sample. When you select, make sure that they fill it up, they'll give 100%, then only that will elicit the required information. Otherwise, the required information may not be acquired. Then your basic purpose of the research will not be served. Okay, good. Thank you for your response. Then let us continue. And this one, you have to, after preparing the questionnaire, you have to do so many revisions you have to do. Why I'm saying this? Because initially you will think that certain question will be good, but suddenly some new idea may come in. So I would advise you minimum 4 to 5 revisions should be there. I'm telling minimum. Maximum is infinite. But minimum 4 to 5 times you have to revise the questionnaire, and that revision has to happen at the frequent interval. For instance, today morning you sit to prepare a questionnaire. You have written 25 questions. Then don't do the revision immediately. After that, you finish it off, you keep it just to keep the paper away. And probably evening or next day only you should take the question, all the questions which you have prepared. You should have a fresh look at the question, check whether are there any changes required. If you try to change everything within the short span of time, you will miss a lot of information, because our brain will be cluttered with so much of information. It will not have a clarity to think whether it is right or wrong. That's why if you give sufficient break, and then you again look at the question, the fresh look, if you give it to that will be a very good thing for you. So that should be the what you call a kind of a strategy to re-examine and revise in the questionnaire. Don't do that in the same thing. If it requires, today you complete, give a gap one day, after that you see that. Because so that your mind will become fresh. When you are fresh only, you will get a new idea, you'll be able to identify the mistakes. Otherwise, since you have prepared the questionnaire, you will never be able to identify the mistakes just easily, since you will be thinking everything from your own point of view only. But you need to look at the question, the third person point of view, that you may get after a certain break. But if you keep thinking about the same stipulated time, only whatever you have written, the mind will say that everything is fine. But you look at the same questionnaire after a day or 2, then the mind will give you some new idea, a fresh idea you will get, that will help you to fine-tune and redraft the question clearly. This is the second phase. So first phase we have seen the preliminary. Now it's a preparation stage. Then these are the things you have to take care in your mind when you prepare. Next comes the third phase. Yeah. So first thing, technical defects must be minutely scrutinized and removed. I would say even a spelling error, construction error, punctuation error, everything should be, I'm telling in the grammatical level. And technical means there are some other subject-specific technical things are involved. Kindly ensure that it is given properly. You should not give a wrong value in the questionnaire. You ask the respondent to fill it up. So you have to ensure the credibility of the question questions which you have used in your questionnaire once again, what you call minimum twice to thrice you should check. So if there are defects, that it can be a grammatical error, other technical defect, you just to correct it. That's what these things will happen in the drafting, but still you have to be doubly cautious whenever you give certain technical details in your questionnaire. And after completing the your preliminary revision, redrafting, finally there is something which you take that questionnaire, you give it to the pilot. Means I have said in the phase one pilot, that pilot to test only the randomness of the question. This pilot, that is the third phase pilot study, you have to take to the original population. Assume that you are planning to select 100 respondent as your sample. You should select the 10 respondent from the same sample. You should give your questionnaire and they need to fill it up. See, initial phase one pilot is simply to check the question alone. But here you will collect the original data as per the questionnaire. Because after that you do a mini data analysis also. Then you will reconfirm or confirm that the data will bring the required results as you are expecting based on your objective. In case the data is not delivering the expected result, then you need to modify the questionnaire. So this is the pilot is important here to confirm that whether the proper questions you have used in the questionnaires are right or wrong. See, and as I already told you that, see, you collect the data. How will you edit? You have given 10 questions. Assume that a grammar question. You want to do a research on a grammar. 10 questions you have given. Third question, everybody got it wrong. Third question, everybody got it wrong. 10th question, everybody got it right. Then you need to change these 2 questions. Why? How it is possible for all 100% student can get it wrong? How it is possible for 100 student get it right? So both are wrong. So based on the test results, as I already told you yesterday, when you evaluate your paper, I said equal distribution is required. Similarly, same thing is here. You put a chart, bar chart, where the responses are spread across the entire bar, it's fine. If it is accumulated only in one bar, means you need to change that question. Either it will be either it will be easy or tough. You have to make it moderate. So that should be very important. That's why based on the results which you have taken from the pilot study, then you need to edit the questionnaire. And another thing, after conducting the exam, pilot exam, after collecting the data, then you should select 1 or 2 respondents. You should talk to them. You should get their feedback about the questionnaire. That is, are they able to understand all the questions? Do they find anything difficult? So you need to talk to them. You should get their feedback not about the result, feedback about the questions itself. That is the very important thing, because their feedback may help you to check that are there anything you need to improve. Okay, so that's very important thing. So if you use these 4 things in the phase 3, once you have done everything, now you are 100% ready for final rollout of the questions. That is the phase 4. See, you want to roll out the question, and whether you need to conduct the validity after collecting the data or before collecting the data. See, after collecting the pilot study data, you need to do a preliminary analysis of the validity and reliability through the statistical analysis. That will give you the basic result about its validity and reliability. Then if it is positive, then you can go ahead. If it is negative, you need to change it. And original validity and reliability, probably you can prove after collecting the data from all 100 respondents. Then again, you need to take the reliability and validity result analysis. Then it should prove that your data is correct, your questionnaire is right. And one more thing is there, after completing every question, this is one way, statistical analysis. Other way is, once you finalize everything, take the entire questionnaire, give it to minimum 3 experts. It is called expert validity. You work in HR. Somebody in your department may be specialized in HR, or you are a person doing PhD in your own college. You cannot give the question to the same college professor to validate. Instead, identify in your own state some other reputed college, identify some professor who is expert in HR, give this questionnaire to him. He will go through the entire question. Finally, he will certify, or he will give what you call validity certificate, or give with his comment. He will say that you change this or that, or it is fine. Something with his comment, he will give it. Once, if you have obtained those things, again you can mention in your thesis or research paper that the questionnaire has been done via expert validity. Also, you can do that. Next thing is statistical validity. Statistical validity, you have to feed the data, you have to analyze. There are statistical measurement tools or there, validity testing. You have to use that. Then you have to identify. Then you have to prove that as the correlation coefficient is this level. So this level shows that obviously my questionnaires are really good. That's why I established my questionnaire as that's a good questionnaire. That way you need to put a kind of justification in your research work. But the point, these are the 4 phases you have to use. That's what first thing, thinking phase. That's what preliminary phase. After that, devising phase, then analyzing phase, then execution phase. That's what I've given 4 things. So keep all those things in your mind and you prepare questionnaire. This is fine. And one more thing, what are the different types of questions are available? Now it's I'll stop here because I'll go with the other topic maybe after this interaction. Now tell me, what are the different types of questions are available for the research purpose? Apart from open-ended, closed-ended, are there any other distinction you can use it? And here afterward, we'll have a rule. We'll listen to the respondent who has never spoken already.
That is really a good idea.
Yes, no type question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, no type question. Then MCQ type question.
Very good.
Then theoretical explaining.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Thank you. Very good. Yes or no, and MCQ. Anything else? Checklist. Okay. Then
Schedules.
Come again.
Schedules.
What way the schedule can be a question?
If we ask when we ask the question to the respondent and write their views.
Okay, views. It's an open-ended question. Okay, fine.
Yes, apart from open-ended and closed-ended questions, there are some kind of questions, the probing questions and the leading question, which can lead to the objective of the research.
Yes, good. Rahul has typed as a true or false question. Yeah, and one more person also typed something. Let me check it up. Yeah, demographic question. Yes, obviously, to get the demographic details, you can ask the question about, as I already given example about education, parents, locality, and other stuff. Okay. Any other response? Yeah, predictive. Very good. Predictive question. Sometimes you will ask the respondent to predict what will be the future. Yeah,
interpretative type of question.
Yeah, interpretative, comparative. Likert scale. Ashish Gupta, what you mentioned is called Likert scale questionnaire. Then rhetorical question. Very good, rhetorical question. So yeah, then you have a fill in the blank, ranking, and matching the thing, and replacing the word, and so many things are there. So you can use any question. There is no restriction for you to use only this question, but widely used to question that type is Likert scale. or they use MCQ, or they'll use the drop down. That's what selecting the thing and ranking. So even you can use all the combination of these different questions also in your research. Maybe section 1 can go with the MCQ, section 2 can go with the multiple, what you call, you can go with fill in the blank, then later you can go with the predictive question, anything. So anything is fine, but you have to make sure that all these different types of question is required for your research. You need to justify always why did you choose this type of questions, and are there any reasons behind that. You have to tell them clearly. Got it? Okay. Any other questions about the questionnaires? Okay. How to select the standard questionnaire? Always go to the experts in your field and you check them. Normally, the questionnaires will be given in the appendix as an extra. No, in the research paper, thesis, they could have given at the end of the thing. But always make sure that when you use somebody else's questionnaire, you should give a due credit to them. Otherwise, it's a plagiarized content. So give a proper quotation, what you call, the credit to the author, then you can use it. And one more thing, once you prepare your own questionnaire, other researchers also they may use and they may give a credit to you. So when you publish it, it becomes a common property. So they need to, whenever they use your questionnaire, they need to tell that this is the questionnaire developed by so and so. So you will, that's a credit to you. That's how we use all the expert questions. They develop on their own. Finally, they'll give it to public, and the people find it okay. That's a good method of using it. Then you can take and use it. But you should take, you should give a credit. Certain questionnaires, you should get a permission from them. You are not allowed to use directly. So that time you should write a mail. You should obtain an email permission from them that you need to tell them that you want to use the same questionnaire for your research. So once they agree, then you can go ahead. But openly available questions, no need to get a permission. Only you need to give a citation. That's it. Yeah. Is there any other question? Any doubt, or in case you have whether your research students are facing or any research scholar you are facing? Okay, let me tell you how to prepare this. See, generally, even if you want to prepare the questionnaire directly, you cannot start within a day. You should read so many papers, like when you have read in the literature review, and check how other researchers framed their questions, how many sections they are having, and what type of questions they have used. So you can take the model from already a very good research paper, which is cited very high citation paper. You can take something is used there, you can take it as a model paper, and keeping that as a model, then you can develop your own questionnaire. That's a way. Even if you don't know anything about the question, then you have to take this model. And another thing, always you should plan question. If I ask you, there are 10 questions, assume that. Question number 6, which objective it does address? If I ask you the question, you will be able to answer me. Each question should reflect to the objective. In case you don't know which objective it is addressing, then it's of no use. So, and here, see, there may be 25 questions also can address only one objective, nothing wrong. But any question should revolve around the objectives. It should not go beyond the research scope. That is a waste of time. But sometimes initially you planned to have 5 objectives. Later you decided to go with only 3. Then you can cut down certain questions, nothing wrong. But when you take, as I informed in the beginning, always take the maximum number possible. But and one more thing also, you have to make sure that it is not unnecessarily taking too much of the respondent time also. Yeah. Okay. If there are any other questions, otherwise then let me move to the next one. Just give me a second. And I'll just a minute. I'm opening the other file. Yeah, next I'll just give a brief intro about the conceptual framework. I have touched upon that topic, I think, in day 2 or 3. I didn't give a detailed info. Today, let me give you the detailed discussion on that. Let me quickly give input, then we'll have a discussion. And, just a minute. Okay, let me check whether you have understood. Can someone tell me which day I was talking about conceptual framework? Can you tell me which day, which topic, when I was dealing which topic, did I talk about this?
Research design.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's correct. So when I was introducing the research design, that day I told you about conceptual framework and theoretical, but I didn't explain. Just I told you that as of now, not necessary. We'll deal it later. So that's the thing. So the conceptual framework is a part of the research design. Look at there. See, it will help you to exactly plan how you need to do your work exactly. So let me take you straight. It includes variable, collecting the data, and the other factors, hypothesis, what type of hypothesis you need to frame, everything it will include. But I'll show you the example so that it will be directly useful to you. So this example, I think I have used on that day also, I guess. This exam high score, even I used to teach you the variables, I guess. So here, if you look at there, you want to know if students who study more hours get higher exam scores, what way you can identify this particular thing. There are two options. One is experiment, another one is survey. So here you need to know in the conceptual framework, you need to clearly give that are you going to use the experiment or survey? And after the experiment and the survey, what type of analysis you're going to use? So those things has to be given in the picture as what you call the framework. This is how we are going to operate the entire things. Let me check whether I have a framework also. Here I have given us first variable independent and dependent, hours of study and exam grade, and how it is getting affected. So now I am adding one more variable called moderator variable. This moderator variable I didn't talk in the yesterday's lecture. The reason is I have introduced to the dependent and independent variable. There is called moderator or extraneous variable that you may not study them directly, but indirectly that may affect the variables which you have taken. See here, you come to a conclusion that hours of study, there is impact of hours of study in exam grade. But in case a person who has IQ, higher IQ person, everybody studies for 5 hours, and some what you call as some n number of grade they'll get. But in case a student who has a high IQ, he studies the same n number of hours. Will he get the same n number of grade, or will the grade will improve? Obviously, there will be a change. For example, he may get the better grade because of his IQ. So you need to be very careful. Will there be any moderating variable which you have not studied in your research also? That you need to be very careful. In case that is there, you have to add a separate variable as a moderator variable. This can be, especially when you interpret the result, you can use the moderator variable could have been the reason for this kind of result that way. Or otherwise, fix the moderator variable exactly, and like IQ and other things and all also. Then you decide based on the analysis, you can come to the conclusion. See, if you do not have moderator variable and the hours of study and exam directly you are trying to establish the relationship, that's fine. But sometimes it is a contradictory relationship comes. See, you say that hours of study and exam grade is good. It is increasing. But still some students, even though hours of study is high, their grade is very less. They get only poor grade. Why? That time only moderator variable comes into picture. Even though he studies as if the what do you call, the student who is studying studying for a long time. See, everybody commonly study for 5 hours, but some of them pass, some of them fail. Then you need to know why everybody is studying for 5 hours, but why only some student failed. Means because that time only you need to think the other variable, moderator variable, because of his IQ level, other problem, anything else can be the moderator variable. Now, can you tell me again, in the hours of study and exam grade, I have given IQ as a moderator variable. What are the other possible moderator variable which will affect the exam grade?
Grasping power.
Grasping power, okay.
Concentration of the student.
Concentration.
Ability to understand the concept.
Ability to understand the concept. Good. Cheating, yeah. How good at him? Yes. You mean that purposely cheating the player?
Yes,
right?
yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
That's correct. That's correct. Good. Then memory power, absolutely. Somebody who has good memory, obviously, even if they study less, it may impact. So this is how you need to know the mod. Once you fix independent and dependent variable, after that you need to know, will there be any moderator variable? If it is there, you need to make sure that you study that also, so that the clarity of the result will be good. In case without moderator variable, you will be able to establish the proper result is fine. If you can't, then obviously you need to think about the moderator variable. So better if you can add certain moderator variable, it will be good in your research. It is considered, it's highly reliable. That's why when you fix the conceptual framework in this kind of mediating variable, look at there. Now, one more variable called mediated variable, number of time practiced. This is another mediation you try to add it. So then it may again, the result will change.
Sir, level of examinations or level of the questions asked in the examinations are
correct. Absolutely, obviously, level of question, yes, good. Based on the Bloom's taxonomy, lower order thinking questions are asked, they'll score better. And if it is the higher order thinking question, it's very, very difficult. And if you take, for example, IELTS exam, that is English as International Language Testing Service, IELTS exam question paper, if you take reading passage and it will be very, very tough. Normal student cannot understand, because everything, even the MCQ, you will not be able to answer the MCQ, because such a higher order thinking will be there. Whereas all of our examination MCQ question, they simply, if they read once, understand the paragraph, they'll be able to answer the. So this is the different here. Both student, if you give the both student both question, one is IELTS questionnaire, another one is a normal question. IELTS question is the more standardized tool because it is used worldwide. So they'll have a certain universal standard that should be maintained. Otherwise, everybody will pass the exam. Here, it's not a pass-fail. IELTS, we don't call it as a pass-fail. They'll give a certain band score from the 0 to 9 band score. The person who scores 9 band is called, he has the native speaker like fluency in everything. Generally, they test 4 level: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So there, if you compare those questions with the normal non-standardized question, you see the huge difference. So that time you need to know the mediating variable, what are the other factors are involved to to create an impact, cause and effect of the one variable to another one. Another one is control variable. Look at their health. Why do we call it as control variable? And okay, let me finish, and I have a question to the commerce people. And can someone from commerce department, can you tell me, why do we call control variable, mediating variable, moderating variable? What are the major differences? Because you definitely, this variable invariably you'll use in the commerce department, obviously. All research they'll use absolutely. And can someone tell me why? What can you distinguish these 3 variables?
Sir, moderating variable, the effect of that variable we can't be controlled during our research.
Okay.
But there is some variables which we can control their effect on our research.
Okay. Yeah.
That is the control variable.
Yeah, very good. So moderate, see, please kindly make a note. Sir is given correct, perfect answer. Moderating variable, it is not in your control. Very good. Whereas control variable, you can, because it's there, you will be able to help in some, probably you can take certain precaution, certain things you can do, and that way you can take. But can you tell me the mediating variable? I hope you understood the difference between control and moderator variable. Now, what is mediating variable? Somebody else from same commerce department can answer me.
So mediating variables are the variables which intermediate between the dependent and independent variable, which can be with variable of which we can get the help to get the control of the variables.
Okay. So it will be a yes. Go ahead. Sir. Go ahead.
Sir, I think so. It's a variable. Sometimes we can control it. Sometimes we can't control it for the producing our research result.
Okay. Sometimes you can control. Sometimes you cannot control. Okay. Okay. Any other input from anybody? See, actually, if you take the mediating...
Is it which controls the two variables?
Very good. That's the crux. So this variable, mediator variable, will have impact on both independent as well as dependent. Whereas in other thing, it has impact on only one, or it's a kind of a triangle. But here, it has mediator variable. It will affect the hours of study as well as the exam grade, because based on the practice. That is how it is a mediation. It mediates both variables. Very good. Okay. Now, see, why are we not showing the mediating variable and control variable openly in the research sometime? Why are we not showing?
Sir, we are considering both of them as a silent during our research study.
Very good. Very good. So it is considered as it's a silent, the contributor of this particular thing. So when you interpret your result only, you will add it one thing. Another one is when you bring your research design, what are the control or mediating and the moderating variables, maybe you will add those things, so that if there are results which you cannot interpret in the normal sense, these variable will help you to interpret your results clearly. Now, I hope you all understood about the differences among dependent, independent, moderate, mediation, and control variables. Any questions? Okay. Now, if there are no questions, let me quickly talk about theoretical framework. Then after that, we'll go for overall question and answer. See, theoretical framework, conceptual framework gives you the probably a research design. What you will do about variable, factors, hypothesis, everything you will add, you will plan. Theoretical framework, it talks about the theory. First of all, you need to know what is a theory. A theory is a kind of a stand which is established by the experts. For instance, in online class, the virtual mode, you cannot look at the screen for a long time. But in the physical class, you can look at the people for a long time. And it is a stand. It's a kind of a stand, a theoretical stand. And how do we know this thing? Somebody, based on the experience, they'll develop certain idea. Then finally, they'll move this idea to the people. Then if everybody agrees, then it becomes accepted a theory. But I'm telling a very basic, this is the very basic example. But if you look at the, let me give some example from a literary point of view. If we take feminist theory, that is feminism. And generally, if you look at any literary work, if they analyze based on the feministic lens, obviously, it talks about the subjugation of the women. Subjugation of the women. How patriarchy kills the women freedom. Subjugation, patriarchy kills the freedom. How? Double colonization, triple colonization. That is, husband colonizes the wife. Again, another woman colonizes the woman. How? A mother-in-law, again, she also colonizes the... so colonizes means, don't think in that meaning. I'm telling about subjugation, suppressing them. And assume that a woman who gets married goes to a husband's house and he gets ill treatment. She gets ill treatment from her husband, from her mother-in-law, from her sister-in-law. So now she's a single woman. Already, why the husband is ill treating? Because a patriarchal setup. Always women should listen to the men. That one idea. Second thing, mother-in-law. Again, another theory says mother-in-law always makes sure that the daughter-in-law is under her control. Third thing, sister-in-law, same thing applicable to her also. This is a stereotypical thing. So normally, if you see these kind of analysis, you can understand why these people behave like this. Because everywhere, 90% people behave in the same way. Only rare people you will find a daughter-in-law and mother-in-law are friends. Very rare. That will be very... Why? How does it happen? Because of the setup which is there in the society. So then we take that particular theoretical stand, we apply that stand into the work, then we take the characters, we analyze, we'll try to give some idea. So we apply the feministic lens to the work and we try to interpret the work with the feministic point of view. Such kind of, when you take a theory, there are certain parameters, there are certain factors. Based on that factor, if you take that factor, apply to the work, for instance, in English literature, that you will, you will try to bring out the how this work has been written, why it is a feministic work, and all those things, you'll be able to prove it. If it is ecological reading, that is, you want to apply the ecology, environmental humanities, then obviously here we have one more concept called ecofeminism. Again, man is always the dominant creature in the world. Man thinks that he is the superior being of the world. He has the sixth sense. So he suppresses all the living beings, all the creatures in the world. It is called a hierarchization. Hierarchization, we say one sense, two sense, three sense living being, fourth sense, fifth sense, and sixth sense. But the sixth sense human being, they think that they are the superior being of the everything. But do you know that we cannot create the entire world with only the human being? Each and every living being is very much essential to have a life in this earth. That's the reason we destroyed the nature. Nature is destroying us in different way, like all the natural disasters. This is the another theoretical stand. And the same thing, you take a capitalistic theory, capitalism. They say that the development is the brain, the major cause. At any cost, you make sure that you are developing. So that time they don't mind about the nature, trees, everything. They'll cut, they'll destroy, they create. They'll say that we are creating factories, we are producing mass production, we give work to the people. At the end of the day, they never bother about the nature. So the consequence of this particular natural degradation, you may not feel immediately, but the later generation will feel it. That's why we have a lot of activists like Vandana Shiva and other literary figures. They work for the nature preservation. So in that way, again, you take one particular work. Say, let me tell you, you take a movie, you analyze the movie, what way the movie is treating the nature. Just like that, they'll go into the forest, they'll cut the tree. They never bother about. They say that I think there is one movie which talks about the elephant corridor, another thing. They construct houses in the nearby forest. Then normally elephant and other animals get into the living places, and it becomes a threat. Even that in Bengal, all Bengal tigers, and sometimes a lot of other times it has been reported it killed the people, man-eaten tigers, and other thing. Actually speaking, those spaces were meant for animals, but when human occupy that, when animal, as long as it has its available thing within the jungle, it will never come out. When it gets depleted, obviously it tries to move away, because in their it's point of view, it's their space. They come, they'll just like that, they'll go. They come only for their food. This is the ecological perspective. So in this way, you can take many aspects and you can apply those things into your literary, for instance, in English literary work, and you will be able to analyze. If you take for other economical perspective, commerce perspective, then you take the advertising. Today, I have read an article about advertising. Is it advertising or it is advert lying? It is all the advertisement is full of lies. Then here, if you take the marketing people, they say that it is their mantra. No, advertisement means anyhow, if you ask any marketing person, even if you give him a stone, he will convince the customer to buy the stone, normal stone. But he will add certain value to the stone. He will say that this stone has been brought from some great Himalaya. It has great magical power. If you use this stone, and you will get a lot of prosperity. He will add anything whichever possibly to the stone. He will make sure that the customer believes it and he will sell it. So he thinks that as a marketer, as a salesperson, anyhow he should sell the product. It is his theory. But is it wrong? Yes, general perspective may be wrong, but in the business perspective, it is correct. So which stand you take and how it is proven or disproven, it is based on certain theoretical stand. So theoretical framework is nothing but taking a theoretical stand and using those stand into the parameters and applying to the research and proving or disproving certain phenomenon. It's a main duty of the theoretical framework. And I'll give you the example. Let me go to the straight away to the. I think it is not in this slide. I had in the other slide. And very important, one important thing, why do we need to use the theory? That's what it is given, I have given here. One thing, it increases the conformability of your finding and it improves the dependability of your finding. It gives the guaranteed and it is the scientifically proven one, because theories are again is a scientifically proven one. So when you apply the theory, then again you prove your research, then there won't be any question of validity. Obviously, your research is generally accepted quite comfortably. And another thing, when you do a research without any theory, you are going with a very layman perspective. But when you go with a theory, it is kind of an expert perspective. So when you approach your research with a theory, and it is kind of a great accountability increases. That's the reason you need to use the theory. But there are fields, even they do without theory also. When they go beyond theory, who can go beyond theory? Somebody who is an expert in the field. He'll be able to bring out the new things, which is beyond theory. It is called post-theory. What you call post-theory field, not a field, post-theory time. If I know everything in the research, assume that nobody can be known everything, but I'm telling that I know better than many of the people. Then that time I can go beyond theory. That time, as I told you in the beginning of the lecture, deductive, that is deductive research, inductive research, you can develop your own theory. No need to rely on the other theory to test it, to apply it. Directly you'll be able to develop your own theory. That is the purpose of theory. And within a one word, if you want me to answer it, theory increases accountability. And the concept increases it gives the great opportunity to proper research design. It's a basic just one word definition. Or other things, whichever I have just explained to you, you can make use of it. Now you can ask me the question based on all those things about whatever I have covered today. I'll stop here. You can ask me the questions.
So actually it's not a question, but it's a request. If you take any research paper which has been previously published and that as an example to explain how he framed the hypothesis, then what are the control variables, independent and dependent variables, then it will be much easier for us to understand, because many of the faculty members, they are just passed out their academics and they have joined the college, and moreover they many are from computer science background, and they research methodology was not in their syllabus. So if you take example thesis or example research paper like that, then it will be easier for us to understand.
Yes. I'll do one thing. Probably I'll share one research paper well in advance to you, where you can go through the paper. Then I'll explain using that paper what are the variables, hypothesis, and analysis. Everything I'll do that after. I'll do it in the last day. I'll do that. Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other question? And I have a question. Are you able to follow these? Because certain things are slightly technical. Are you able to follow me, or is there any confusion? Are you able to follow me properly?
So everything is okay, sir. We are following it. We are understanding it very well.
Yeah, because if you have any other thing which you are unable to grasp it properly, you can tell me so that I can throw more examples. This research paper analysis I'll do after I cover everything. I'll definitely do. Before that, even directly I'll send the paper to you. You can go through the paper. Then we will discuss about the paper, all the technicalities which I have discussed so far.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. If there are no questions, then we can wind up. Yeah.
Fine, sir. No problem. I think there are no questions from the faculty side. We should wind up right now. Okay. All right, sir. Have a very good evening, sir.
Thank
and
you.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.